Welcome back, guys, to another Dragon Ball Legends video. Today we're going to be taking a look at the 1% unit on Vegeta's banner, which is going to be this NAPPA. He does have an interesting mechanic with Saibamen, but we'll talk about that when it comes up in his kit. With that being said, let's get straight into it here. He is a yellow color Saiyan. He is also on Frieza 4, 7th male. These are all of his tags right here. And yeah, that's pretty much it for his tags and a couple of his special abilities. So the ability that he does have is called Summon Backup. That is a new ability that's being added. I'm pretty sure he's the only one. Yep, that is correct. So that is an entirely new mechanic that was added with Nappa. His main ability, let's go and take a look at that first. He draws a special arts card, which will be very important in activating that Summon Backup ability. He has 20% health, 50 key, protects his hand for 15 timer counts, gets a minus enemy 1 Dragon Ball. Not the craziest, but not useless, you know, that's pretty good. But the main thing to note with this ability here is he can't pop this 5 timer counts into the match. That is the main strength of this ability, is how early you can pop it. Now, his starting abilities, he's getting 270 damage card, or 270 damage, and then he's getting 150 damage card. He has 50% Q recovery, minus 5 to all arts cost, level 1 draw speed, minus 1 sub counts passively on switch, all of which will be uncancelable. Whenever he comes into the battlefield, he has the standard card draw, health increase key, remove special arts seals, which is very important again for getting his Saibamen, and he also lowers ally sub count by 1. In addition to that, every time he uses a Strike Blast special or special move arts, which he draws, he gets 10% of his Vanish back and also 10% damage. That is not the craziest. However, in the grand scheme of things, if this guy gets a combo off, he will get his Vanish back. That is essentially how this will go. On cover change, 3 times he will get type neutral defense 5 times, destroy 2 enemy cards, give them minus 1 draw speed, and cancel their attribute upgrades. Those are all very good disruptive buffs right there. When he's defeated, he also will seal the enemy's special moves and special arts, as well as their Rising Rush and main. This is useful, but it's not that crazy for the fact that he has to die for it as well. And in addition to that, Saiyan Saga allies, Saiyan allies, and Frieza Force allies will get a permanent 20% damage increase and 15% of their health back. So he does have that death buff kind of effect there. All in all, though, his base kit here doesn't look too crazy. It's a pretty standard kit that we do have. He seems like a standard death buff supporter, but he's meant to be, I believe, an offense type, as we can see right here. He is marked as range, so he's meant to do damage, but he seems like more of a supportive kit. And he has a blast cover change. Now let's take a look at what makes him actually really good, which is obviously going to be the Saibamen. So let's go ahead and break that down here. His Z ability is going to be blast attack and strike defense with a bonus to Saiyan Saga's blast defense. Okay, this is actually very good. Every single time... Okay, never mind. I was about to say every single time he uses a strike card, but he has a held art card that gives you health back, and then he has a blast arts, which in the high area will reduce enemy ki by 50, but only on a hit. Not as crazy as it sounds, but you can use this at like the end of your combo if you're in the high area, and it'll have some effect at least. Not the craziest stuff. He has no blast armor, which is a big no-no. Blast and strike also have no special effects. Now, this is the main ability that he has. He has Elite Warrior's Ace in the Hole based on the special arts usage. So in the first and second one, he will summon a Saibamen as backup at 100% health. And from the third card onwards, he will draw a card, get 50 key, and cancel attribute damage in normal conditions, which on hit, he will also nullify cover changes and make the enemy take 30% more damage. This was confirmed to be an AoE green card as well. It really depends on how strong the Saibamen is. Obviously, Nappa has like... You could use Saibamen as kind of like a revive, right? So what you could do is you pop the green, go into Saibamen, now you have the Saibamen on your team, then you switch back out, and then if they try to Rising Rush you or use an ultimate or something, you just throw a Saibamen in front of it. That's kind of the utility you're going for with Nappa. The thing that I'm curious about is if when the Saibamen dies, if this effect applies, because that would be insane if it did, but I would assume that it doesn't, because that would be actually like really, really insane. Now, his special move arch does massive impact damage. On activation, it gets 45% special move, and it destroys his entire hand and gives him a damage buff based on the amount of cards destroyed. On hit, he also gets 4 cards, minus 3 to ally subcounts, and also inflicts the enemy with heavy bleed. The Saibamen portion is the card is going to be right here. Let's see what the Saibamen do. So the Saibamen have the ability to draw an Awakens art card and get 50 key, We all know what this Awakened Arts card is going to be. It's going to be Self-Destruct. And Self-Destruct from Cybermen, we did have a Cyberman back in the day that used to be able to self-destruct and kill like very like new units. So this guy could be a menace. This guy could definitely be a menace. When he is summoned, he draws up to 3 cards if the hand has 3 or less. It's 80% key, 100% vanish, gets cover null, and then he also gets immunity, or not immunity, but he does cancel attribute downgrades under rolling conditions. Every time he draws his strike, boss, special, or special move, he has the same effect as Nappa. And when his health reaches 0, or he self-destructs, he switches back to Nappa. They also have no special effects, but they do have Slice on their strike cards. The green card gives them a card, 50 key, nothing too crazy. You probably want to just save that green card to go back into Nappa. Blue card has also a very similar effect to Nappa's here. This is going to be very annoying to play with for sure. And then here we have their self-destruct, which on activation draws an Awakened Arts next. That is interesting. You're able to draw an Awakened Arts for using... Oh, that's their green card? What? Okay, that's weird. I don't know why they're drawing an Awakened Arts card next. That's really weird. But they get Awakened damage 30% for 3 counts, which is uncancelable, which is huge. They get uncancelable type neutral as well. And on hit, they give the enemy minus health restore and minus key. This is actually really disgusting. This is really disgusting. The only thing about this that would have been bad is that it doesn't lock in. However, that doesn't matter because it's type neutral, uncancelable anyways. And the damage he's going to be doing is just what he is going to be doing. So I am actually very excited to see how this Cyberman plays out in terms of the damage they do. Because obviously those stats from Nappa will also carry over. But I think this Nappa is, so far, I have not read Tien and Chaozu yet. But so far, I would say this Nappa is probably the most interesting character that they have released in this entire anniversary. This Nappa has actually like new he's actually like interesting to read. I'm like wondering like how's he gonna work, how's he gonna be in play. Whereas other characters that they've put out, like the new LFs and like the part 1 units, to be honest, they were all just very like basic units. So I'm very happy with the way they decided to go and the direction they went with Nappa. Now, the other part of this breakdown, we're gonna take a look at Nappa's equipment. So Nappa just got 1 new equipment right here, which is most likely going to be core. It is this way, buddy. Gives him 10%, 15% special move, 15% attack, 15% blast, and it gives him a double pure. Absolutely insane equip if you are able to get a gold slot on that. Another one that is absolutely going to be core is going to be the new PvP equip on Nappa as well. It's going to be this Nappa equip right here. This equip will always be on your Nappa no matter what. No matter what team he's on, no matter what your bench is, this equipment is always on your Nappa, unless for some reason you're running him strike-based. But this equipment will always be on your Nappa, as long as you're running him on an actual team he should be on. So this will always be your first equip. And then if you're running him on Saiyan Saga, you're going to throw this equip on him. And if you're not on Saiyan Saga, which I don't know why you wouldn't be on Saiyan Saga, besides like Frieza, of course, and maybe Saiyan. But even if you're running him on Saiyan, you're probably going to run him with Saiyan Saga. You can go ahead and run the Shenron Pure, which isn't going to be here. But the Shenron Pure is the one where you can basically run him with a bunch of melee or blast units and get that buff. Preferably, obviously, in this guy's case, you would want it to be blast rolled. That's the other like viable equipment that he has for a pure. This one's also not a bad choice for him as well, because this equip is going to be giving him a lot of defensive utility. It's giving him 15% health, double defense, and it's also going to give him damage inflicted or defenses, depending on which you have it rolled for, per se in Saga Battle Member. Absolutely disgusting equip right here if you do decide to run him on Saiyan Saga, which again is where I would recommend you run him. I think if you're not running him on Saiyan Saga, you're honestly throwing the match. This guy is designed to be run on Saiyan Saga. That is the team that he's on. Outside of Saiyan Saga, he's not going to be that great, to be honest. This is another like generally good equip. If you just need stats, you can go ahead and throw this on Nappa. It's going to give him both offenses, 10% recovery and 10% health. For a base stat equip, that is probably his best choice. So I would recommend that in case you want to get base stats. This equipment is also absolutely core on this guy. Like, this is just insane. This is, like, if you're running a double pure setup, this is the other core equip that you're going to be running on Nappa. But again, remember, you don't want to be running double pure if you don't have a Zenkai buffer, which Nappa's not going to struggle with because he's a yellow Saiyan. You can run yellow Bardock, and that's going to be giving him a free Zenkai buff. So I would always recommend having him Zenkai buff to run him with the double pure setup. Run this equip, the PvP equip, and the base stat equip that we talked about right here, and your Nappa will cook beyond belief. As far as his team setup goes, I would recommend, again, I would like to reinforce this because a lot of people will probably try to run this guy on Saiyan and other teams, and he's just not going to be good. His equips are very, very limited. You guys can see right here, there's not a lot of options here, realistically speaking. A lot of these equips are old, and the only equips you can really run on this guy are some of these plats and some of his new equips. Keeping that in mind, his main team is going to be Saiyan Saga, not because it's the only team he can work on, but because that's the only team he really has equips for. So looking at the Saiyan Saga build, Nappa is designed to work with the new Vegeta, which is why he's on his banner. If you pull him and the new Vegeta together, you will be able to run them together. As far as your third goes, if you don't pull or decide not to summon for the new Kaioken Goku, you can choose to run this Vegeta right here, and that could be something you could try to make work. It's not going to be the greatest, but it can function. This Feet Goku right here can also work. He's a general support. He's a little bit more strike-based, but you can go ahead and decide to make him work. It's not going to be the end of the world. This Yamcha is a melee type, but you could try to make him work. But the third option really is the hard choice, and then the main recommendation on that is going to be this Vegeta or this Kaioken Goku. Tien and Chaozu could work, however, their color doesn't really synergize. You could try to make Raditz work as well, but again, like, you're starting to get into the territory, because this tag is very limited. You're starting to get into the territory of a lot of these units are not viable, so you can't really run them. So if you're going to run this guy, I highly recommend at least having this guy in your box. That way you can just summon on these two and get them going, and then you can run him with Vegeta without having to go for Kaioken Goku. That would be the ideal situation, is if you have Kaioken Goku, but if you don't, that's the way I would work around it. And then on top of that, you do need to have Yajirobe, because Yajirobe is going to be giving you HP and an extra green card in your hand, and that will make it a lot easier for you to play with both Nappa's green card, which is an AoE, and Vegeta's green card, which is also an AoE, and it will be absolutely a disgusting setup. That is what I would recommend. And as far as your bench goes outside of Yajirobe, just run Zenkai buffers. You want to run Yellow Bardock for this guy, and honestly, for grade 8, you might not even want to run a Zenkai buffer. You can probably just run the EX yellow and green buffer. There's an EX character that gives yellow and green characters a massive amount of blast attack. I believe it is the EX Gotenks. Let's go ahead and take a look at him right here. I would recommend you guys run this guy on bench. He is giving you 40% to your blast attack and defense. And then you can just run the third unit on leader. Another thing you can do as well with this team is you can run Cell on leader, and that way you have that third red unit. However, keep in mind that will nerf your Saiyan Saga equips, which is why I recommend going for either Kaioken or the 8 Vegeta, because that will make sure your Saiyan Saga units are at their peak. That is everything you need to know to be able to run Nappa at his peak and dominate with him in the current battlefield in Dragon Ball Legends. Make sure you guys test them out during the new dynamic battles, and this is Kaizer signing out.